What did you notice in this clip? What did you see happening? What was happening?
For attention.
So he's looking for attention. What else did you see happen?
Nobody addressing his concerns.
No one's addressing his concerns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some learned behavior somewhere along the way.
There's some learned behavior along the way. Okay. But one more thing. What else did you see or you notice? A number of you laughed. A number of people laughed and chuckled. Why did you laugh and chuckle? Oh, you've seen it before. I hope not at work. So we've seen that before. So this drama is familiar to some of us in different kinds of ways. All right. So I noticed this, and I found it very interesting because I think it's very pertinent to the work that we do. Because oftentimes we encounter the community who comes in kind of acting like this. I want something, I'm not getting my way, let me, demonstrate how I'm not getting my way and all that kind of stuff. But my core question is, why is it that the baby in this case, and we'll call him Jeffrey, right? Why is Jeffrey, oh, sorry. but why is Jeffrey acting like this?
He's looking for a different reaction to his behavior.
Okay, so he's looking for a different reaction to his behavior. Why is Jeffrey acting like this? What's that? He's looking for attention.
All right, he's learned that somehow already by interaction that you would get attention.
It's worked for him in the past.
Yeah.
It has worked for him in the past, right? So this is a learned pattern of behavior. And so as human beings, we build on success, right? So we do something called mental scaffolding, right? So the first time I do this and it's successful, I wanted that successful. So the next time, I will also, if I see a similar situation, what do I say to myself? I'm going to do the same thing, right? And so if it's worked in the past and I come to a new situation in my present, I can make the assumption that what worked in the past will work in my present. Which also means if I look forward into the future, I will say that behavior will also work then as well, right? So it's worked well in the past, it will work in the future, and I have reason to believe that it will work into the future. So my past, my present, and my future. So when will the baby's behavior change? When the mother doesn't put up with it, okay? When will the baby's behavior change? When he's picked up, okay?
When he learns, there's no reinforcement for the behavior.
When there's no reinforcement for the behavior, is there reinforcement for the behavior right now? No, right? But he keeps doing it. And so why does he keep doing it even though his behavior is not being reinforced?
Worked in the past.
Because he knows if I keep at this thing, at some point it should work. But what happens when he's 24 and it's still not working? When will he change his behavior? Because it's currently not working, right? You know it's not working. I know it's not working. The parents know it's not working. The dog knows it's not working, right? But who fails to realize that his behavior is not working? He doesn't realize, right? And so his behavior will change when he realizes that his behavior is not getting him where he wants to go. So when we go back to this slide, and we talk about bigots, and we talk about people who are prejudiced, when will their behaviors change? When they realize that it's not helping them to get to their goal. That their behavior, although it may have worked in the past, may not be working in the future. It may not be working in our present. It certainly won't work in the future, right? So that's when those individuals start to change, all right? So we talk a little bit about my working assumptions. First of all, I believe that people can learn, change, and grow. That although we are the sum total of our genetic makeup, I am more than the sum of that, right? I'm more than my genes. And there are scientists and people who believe that our behaviors are locked somewhere in our genes. I refuse to believe that because I don't like some of the genes that some of the people in my family wear. I would prefer to have a different kind of lifestyle and not be locked into that. I also believe that all human behavior is goal-directed, that people do things because they are after some kind of goal. Oftentimes, they're not as articulate as we would like for them to be, but we know that there is a goal. Anytime you caught a kid doing something that they're not supposed to do, and you ask them, why did you do that? What is their typical response? I don't know, right? And that's frustrating to us because we know that they had some kind of goal in mind, right? So all human behavior is goal-directed, and people do what makes sense to them, even if it doesn't make sense to anybody else, right? And so a lot of times we'll encounter people, and we're trying to make sense of something from our standpoint that has nothing to do with how we think, if that makes sense, right? So their logic is what's driving their behavior. It's not necessarily connected or related to anybody else's logic. And lastly, attitude is a response to a goal. What have folks been taught about what an attitude is? What is an attitude?
Something that you can decide on, something that you control. You can
Okay.
decide whether you're having a positive or a negative attitude.
Okay, something you can decide on. You can decide if you're going to have a positive attitude or a negative attitude. All right? What's an attitude? What have you been taught about an attitude?
Usually negative.
It's typically usually negative. When people talk about attitudes, they talk about the negative parts of attitude, right? Anybody been accused of having an attitude? Okay, cool. So I would have said, and I used to say, that an attitude was those things that we just mentioned. I'd like to add a piece that I discovered on my own, because I was often confused by this concept of attitude, because my parents would tell me that I have a lot of attitude. And they would send me to my room so I could improve my attitude. And so my father would say, boy, you better go to your room till you learn how to act, right? And so I'd be in my room for a while, and then I'd step out into the hallway and I'd say, to be or not to be. I spent a lot of time in my room. Because that's not what they were talking about. And it took me a while to figure it out, and then one day it clicked for me. So my dad was my pastor. So I grew up, I'm the preacher's son, so I grew up in the church. And on Sunday, we would go to church from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. We'd stop at 3 o'clock for chicken. Not because we're black, but because chicken is delicious. All right? So Friday night, I asked my dad for the car. And what does my dad say to me? Because he loves me. No. Oh, he says, yes, he loves me, right?